Welcome to the Profitable NDIS Provider Podcast, where we're joined by your hosts, Tania Gomez and Bryan. In each episode, we'll be sharing valuable insights and tips to help you turn your NDIS business into a profitable venture. So whether you're just starting out or looking to take your business to the next level, you've come to the right place. Let's stop surviving and start thriving.
Welcome to the Profitable NDIS Provider Podcast. I'm Tania and I'm here today with Paul. Hey Paul, how you going?
G'day Tania, so good to be here. We've had August. We're already like so many months through the year. It's going really quick and a bundle of stuff's been happening.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast the year goes. I can't believe it's August anyway. And I can't believe we're at season 7 of this podcast. Creeping towards our 100th episode. It's frightening how quickly time and things progress. So tell me, Paul, what's been happening in your world in August? What are some wins we can talk about?
Wins in August. We've been doing a lot of really cool stuff. We've just finished our August on-ramp with Profitable Provider. So we've had a bundle of new crew come in. They've solved time constraints in their business. They've installed some systems and tools which get their team on track, and they've simplified their processes like all in the first 30 days. And it's been an absolute game changer for them. So it's been really cool to take those guys through that process. We're launching our local provider hubs, which is going to be absolutely amazing. We've got a bundle of businesses that we've got located all around Australia. We've got a location, they've got some amazing information, and we're actually just running some localized training events for small businesses in these areas. And I'm going to be there, not technically in person. So we're just playing with the idea of actually me streaming in to all these different locations as they're happening. And it's going to be a really cool, like short, sharp training and networking session at different locations around Australia, all within September. It's coming up. It's going to be amazing.
Amazing. That sounds great. I love bringing people together. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I think that sounds great. I've had an interesting August. Actually, my August has been really quiet compared to previous months. I've been home almost all the time, which is really different for me.
What?
It's I haven't traveled anywhere in August. After the SIL summits in June, it was time for me to spend a little bit of time at home. So I have really enjoyed it, actually. But what I've been working on is obviously we released our book on the 4th of August. So Your NDIS Business. We've sold about 400 copies in the first month, which I think is amazing, which has been great. And a little bit of a sneak peek that I'm working on 2 other books at the moment that'll come out in October and November, which is really exciting. But I'm so happy with the launch and how everything's gone with the book and just the feedback from everyone that it's such a great resource. And I've really loved listening to the audiobook myself and listening to everyone's voice reading their sections. That's like it's so great. It brings so much of a personal element to it, hearing the authors say their words. I've been really pleased with how that's come along. That's probably my big win for August.
I think that what you've done with that book is so amazing. You brought together so many people, so many amazing people. And I say that because I'm also in that crowd. But it was incredible, the coherence of the content with all the different authors and the generosity, like just reading through the other sections, because I didn't get to read other people's chapters until I got the book. And I'm looking at this just going, this is amazing. Like people are giving so much in-depth knowledge away for free in that book. And all the reviews that I've seen coming through, people are going through, I've seen pages highlighted and people have got notebooks next to it and they're going, I'm going to do that today. It's been absolutely phenomenal. So I just want to say, first of all, thank you. I get to be a part of a book and it's been amazing. And for, I think, all of the NDIS industry right now, thank you, because that's such an amazing resource for all of us to be able to use and implement for years to come.
Yeah, and it's actually been so fun. It's been so fun to do. It's kind of in my head, and I think I said this to you when we're talking about why I'm doing another book. It really just feels like organizing an event, right? You get the great speakers, and we're just putting it into a different format, but it's the same idea of like my pillars in my business is educate, inspire, and connect. And for me, the book does that. It's educational, it's inspirational, and it actually connects people together because they're able to use the resources and talk about it. So it's been a really fun project. And as a result, I'm now doing 2 other ones. I have some other ideas about other ones that I'm going to try to work through next year, but I'm hoping to have the other 2 out this year, which will be fun. They're both ambitious schedules, so we'll see how we go. So what about challenges? What is new in the industry that we need to be talking about, Paul?
Well, I mean, we've seen some interesting stuff come out from the minister around this idea of the Thrive Kids program and the removal of a lot of children from the NDIS into a different scheme, which is going to be operating at a different budget line, probably with different parameters. And I think it really highlights the need for providers to be all over this information, because you can't be reactive to this sort of stuff. What have you seen on your end around those changes that have been coming out?
Yeah, look, I'm still trying to get my head around all of this Thrive Kids program, but I'm in quite a few little group chats with various different peak bodies and advocates, and there's obviously a lot of pushback and a lot of worry about what this means for kids with disability. Obviously, currently kids are funded at about $4.8 billion a year under NDIS, and this funding is only for $2 billion. So does that mean a $2 billion cut in funding? There's a whole lot of questions around. The minister seemed to insinuate that these changes are only applicable for new people coming on the scheme, but then other wording suggested that potentially current people on the scheme will stay until their next plan, and then eventually people will be tagged to go into this other scheme.
Probably see it working like that, yeah.
And a lot of fear and concern from my clients has been raised around the sustainability of their businesses. What exactly does this mean for their business? Is this other areas that they can be working on? And will they be eligible for this scheme? What's the eligibility look like? And obviously none of these answers are available yet. So we don't have answers to any of them. But as we do, I think we should probably do a podcast episode and maybe interview some experts in the space to be talking about what this actually means, specifically for allied health professionals, because their early childhood supports mostly affects allied health, although it could also impact on respite providers and group activity providers, but mostly it's going to be around this therapy piece, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely highlighted the idea that providers in the space need to be looking at that diversification of funding models, getting used to looking at what state government funding looks like in their business, and even private funding, because as the changes come through, and we'll look at some of the other changes as well around price cuts and mandatory registration, the system is evolving, and it's evolving very quickly, and they're going to need to be on top of this information, creative with how they apply it in their business, and also very nimble with their systems and their process and how they operate as a business. Otherwise, you're going to get very stuck behind if you're hoping that you're going to keep doing it the way you've always done it.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is that we're still dealing with these pricing cuts. We're still with allied health with the 50% travel cuts. Although we had 60-something thousand people sign our petition, we haven't seen any movement around there, unfortunately. So that's really, really still front and center. And the last couple of weeks, we've seen a consultation paper come out about the mandatory registration. It really didn't say a lot. It basically just told us what we already knew, that providers are worried about the cost of audits, the timeframes of audits, and there's just not enough information for providers to make a decision whether they want to continue in the scheme or not.
Yeah. And look, I think we've seen that it's been on the cards, all the way back from the the Royal Commission, and even before that, there was plenty of talk of this. And we've seen the transition this year for SIL and support coordination and platform providers around them needing to be registered regardless. It's going to be happening, but I think we've done probably a couple of episodes about what it could look like. But until the government really wrap their head around what they want to see and get this off the plan, it's still just so up in the air, which leaves the providers in the space unsure, uneasy, unable to actually implement a really solid strategy about how they're going to enter registration, like what level should they be going at, and what the changes will look like moving forward, which is just a limbo place that kind of sucks for a lot of people. Yeah. But having said that, I think you mentioned this a little while ago, is that getting in and becoming registered now, even at an entry level space, allows you to be in the process, and know the system. And then as the changes come, you can move into that and miss out on probably the big transition period that might take place.
Yeah, and I think that's great advice for SIL providers and support coordinators. Although I feel like now with allied health, if you're an allied health provider that specially works with children, I don't know if you want to register. Like if all your funding is going to be at a state-based level or this other federal scheme and not under NDIS, will there be a different registration process? Will that be cheaper, more cost-effective? There has been some concerns raised around the government choosing providers for this Thriving Kids scheme and moving back to a block funding model, which would preclude a lot of the current NDIS providers from delivering those supports. So I feel like the uncertainty is actually the issue here. If the announcement was, this is what's happening, these are the details, and you're out of the NDIS, at least businesses can deal with that and forward plan. But the uncertainty about in, out, backwards, forwards, I think that, when people don't have an answer, they just make up the missing details in their head. And that's the dangerous position to be in, because you can't make business decisions on assumptions. You need to be able to fact check and actually get enough information to feel like you can make that decision. So I wish, instead of just releasing these consultation papers constantly that tells us almost nothing, I wish the government would just make a decision and tell us like it is and not pussyfoot around it. Like, even calling it the Thriving Kids program, right? Like, what a joke. We're talking about cutting therapy to children with autism. How is that helping anyone thrive? And the notes.
Welcome to marketing.
Oh, it's hard though. Like for me, I was going to do a meme on this, and I gave up because it was too depressing. But like, to me, like, obviously the minister's gone to ChatGPT and said, what can I call the program that is about cutting therapy to children with autism? And ChatGPT has come back and said Thriving Kids, because the opposite is what? Block funded model, which is reducing children's capacity. It's like the opposite of Thriving Kids. I think as an early childhood teacher, the whole thing just makes me really quite upset, because there's so much evidence. Like, we talk about evidence-informed practice all the time. We talk about individual supports being really important. We talk about the scheme being built for the needs of people with disability, but it's like that's only important as long as it fits in our budget. And now that we're trying to cut our growth percentages from 8% to 4%, those things are just good to have, and they're now negotiable. So the wording in his speech around something like individual supports don't work for children with autism is like, hang on, have you not read the practice standards that the Commission wrote that says that individual supports is best practice and evidence-based? Because it's very contradictory. And it's against the human rights of children as well. To the fear in that I understand from people smarter than me is that really we're going back to a Medicare health model for dealing with autism. And the challenge with that is that there's a lot of gap fees, and people who have disability or children with disability often have a lot of extra expenses anyway. So expecting them to pay a gap just means that actually it's not equity. They can't eat, you'll have year-long wait lists, many years of wait lists for children who can't afford to pay for therapy. And then you have people who are well off who will be skipping the line because they can pay those gap fees. And that's the opposite of what the NDIS was set out to do. It was about equal equal access to
Yeah.
funds based on what's reasonable and necessary for your specific disability and your specific needs.
Well, let's look at the flow-on effect of that. They don't get the support that they need at a younger age in the early intervention and the results at that particular time. They're probably going to need more support as they grow old, right?
And not just more support from disability. They are. It's proven. Many hundreds of studies have proven that every dollar in early intervention saves the economy about $5,000 or more long term, every $1. And that's on the education system, because if we don't treat autism with support services, it's the teachers that have to pick it up and try to do those supports in the classroom who are already stretched. The hospitals have to pick up. The GPs who are not trained in this currently need to be retrained, and someone has to pay for that.
Yep.
And then we have corrections, and we have juvenile justice, and we have the courts. All of those things get tied up when we can prevent all of it with early intervention. That's proven over and over again. And yet this short-sighted penny pinching is because they've looked at the numbers and said, right, there's more children with autism accessing the scheme. Let's cut their access. As opposed to going, okay, well, how do we do this more effectively? How about that $45 million that we're going to do another review of the cost of NDIS? How about we use that $45 million? Or what about the 18 executives at the NDIA who earn hundreds of thousands of dollars each? Maybe we replace their jobs by giving more therapy to who actually needs it.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can tell now that I'm on my bandwagon and I'm on a rant, so I apologize, but it just makes...
You don't need to apologize at all. I'm on the bag of that. But the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is today, right? And they're just not looking at this as a long-term thing. They're going, right, if we want to get elected next season, we better cut some costs. And that's the unfortunate part of it.
Yeah.
Look, let's jump on to what's some value that we're sort of looking at, what we can share that's going to give people some new looks at what's going on at the moment that we're seeing.
Yeah, so I think one share is obviously please have a look at our book and our free resources with the book for some advice and some inspiration. But also I've been playing around with Reconnect Pro, which is a system I know you also use, Paul. And I've had a lot of fun systemizing my sales and marketing processes. And I've actually been able to, I spend a lot of money on tech because I love tech and I don't love having a lot of staff. And I have gone from $80,000 a year of tech spend to $20,000 a year tech spend by rationalizing my systems and moving as much as I can to Reconnect Pro. And so I'll let you talk a little bit about it, but what I've been doing is really focusing on the sales and the follow-up on nurture sequence. And there's some really quick wins that providers could use, little things like getting an SMS and an email sent out when someone puts in a referral form, a follow-up task 3 days later for someone in the office to contact them. And then if someone says no to your service, checking back in with them 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 1 year later to see if they might need some help at that point in time and keeping front of mind. So I've replaced my social media scheduler. I've replaced Calendly, which was my booking system. I've cut down my Jot forms and my Zapier costs. I had a separate tool which we used called ManyChats, which would reply to people in our SMSs, in our social media, which has now been all integrated into this one system. And it's been really quite a simple process to get it set up. So how do you use this tool, Paul?
So look, I started using it quite a few years ago, and we were using it as our sales and operations tool. And for anybody listening, this is not going to replace your shift care or your visual care. This is not a rostering tool. This is a front end system for a provider, and something's going to build in automations. But I was using it so much, and I was talking with the providers I'm working with, say, hey, look, we really need to look at something about, automating these emails that you're sending out, tracking where your staff are and what they're doing, and tracking the referrals you're getting and the following up, and then booking in calendar reminders, all these little bits and pieces. And I just looked at it and go, we just need to use this system that I'm using because that's exactly what it does. And so in Profitable Provider, everybody in there gets a account in there, and we build out a lot of these automations inside of it. It's basically complimentary for people inside the program. but we've actually got it available for people to use, because as you go in there and start looking at the human error because you're missing things, setting the reminders, that's just a simplification of systems. So you stop missing, particular milestones. You don't forget to follow up that person. Even booking in simply a calendar link, like you said, like Calendly, rather than going backwards and forwards. When are you available? I'm not available then. Or even booking in staff interviews and times with your staff to check in with them. The simple tool that just has the reminders and the calendar notifications, all these little bits and pieces just remove human error. They remove manual work, and you can track all those tasks and conversations and emails and DMs, and you can see who's interacted with your business, and all these bits and pieces just come together in one place that make it really simple to implement for a business that needs to, you can't always just afford to pay someone to do all this sort of stuff, and the automations are there.
Yeah.
So it's been fantastic.
And there's some really cool things I'm just starting to play with that is a whole lot of AI built in there. So you can actually have an AI prompt in there, which will, if someone comes to your website, it can chat with them. It can direct them to the booking link. It can find them a time. It can book that in. It can send them reminders. And you can also, I think you've been playing around with the phone AI.
Yeah, absolutely. We're currently building out like a on-call phone system for those middle of the night calls when you need to just say, hey, look, is this an emergency? Please hang up and call 000. If it's not, please let us know. We'd like to do, and they'll actually set in an automation, like for instance, canceling a shift when your client calls at 3 a.m. because they don't want it for the morning, right? And then actually getting that set up for you rather than missing it and only finding out 5 minutes before the person's turning up for their shift.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, there's I don't know if you follow Frank Greff at all. He's speaking at QuestX, but he built a business called Real Base and had an 80 million exit, and he's now he has a podcast called Chew the Fat, which is amazing. And he's actually building an AI company at the moment, and he's filming the whole thing of him building it. And the whole idea is that you can use tools like this to have he says that you're going to be able to have your first $1 billion solopreneur business using systems like this. And if you think about that, like, I'm pretty impressed by my own feat of what I can achieve with just me. But now that you've got the power of AI, it really is next level, the efficiencies you can have. I'm playing around with a whole lot of AI stuff at the moment. I'll have some cool stuff to share with people soon. But I'm really going through a process of looking at my staff, looking at my processes and thinking, right, can we have AI do this? Can we have technology do this? Is there a simpler way that we can do this faster, cheaper, better, more efficient, so that the humans can focus on human work, speaking to people, providing support, and we can have tech to do the rest? And it's never seemed more possible than it seems right now.
100%. And you're right there, because that whole idea of $1 billion business that is a solopreneur, just the idea of that for a provider that might be listening right now is not particularly applicable to what you're doing right now, but the understanding that technology is taking such leaps and bounds. I, as any business, would want to be looking at, how do I be at the forefront of this? Not that I have to be the inventing the stuff, but just follow the people that are inventing the stuff. So, hey, you've invented that. How do I install that with what I'm doing here?
And so much of it is available for free, right? In Reconnect Pro, as an example, there's actually templates in a library that you can just use someone else's templates. And there's actually companies that you can buy templates set up for like $30 of templates that already work. It's quite amazing the amount of free resources in this kind of share economy when it comes to tech. What do they call it? Open source. Open source.
Yeah. Right. And people just build this amazing, these amazing tools, these amazing agents that you can literally just click and install, and it's done. So lots of fun there. What are you looking forward to in September?
Well, September I'm back to traveling in September. So
Hey,
I'm going to Bali for a week in September to go to the
beautiful.
Business Chicks conference. I'm going without children. I've got a couple of providers joining me,
Yep.
and going with a couple of, it's a Business Chicks, so it's girls only. And we're going to spend 4 days with some amazing women in Bali, really focusing on being the best business women we can be.
So good.
And I'm really looking forward to that. I haven't been to a full-on business event outside of NDIS since I was about 20-something. I used to volunteer at all the Australian Business Women Network stuff, and I was on their committees when I was in my 20s, but I haven't done it since. I go to so many events for NDIS. I thought it was time to broaden out a little bit and be around some people doing some other cool things in other spaces. And so I've got 7 days in Bali. I've got 5 days at a conference and 2 days by myself to, get some massages and sit by the pool and be a human instead of just being a mum, which I feel like I've just been a mum for the last month. And then I've got QuestX, which is our event run with TLC Impact Foundation, where we've got amazing speakers like Ronnie Khan and David Hyman from Aussie Home Loans, and Frank Greff that I was speaking about, and Yasser from TLC. So I'm looking forward to that. I've just got my dress arrived today, and it looks fabulous. And I'm also speaking at I'm speaking at the largest event I've ever spoken at, actually the same day as QuestX, which is for a client of mine, and they've got 2,000 people in the room for their end of year conference. So I'm speaking in front of 2,000 people. So I've never spoken in front of that many people before.
That's cool.
So that's exciting. And then last but certainly not least, the SIL Summit is the 24th and 25th, I think, of September. And that's sold out. And we're actually now selling virtual passes if anyone wants to join us online for that event. It's $199 for the 2 whole days being streamed. So we're now selling those tickets. And I'm looking forward to the SIL Summit because we're going to have most of the authors of our book together to do a book signing. And we've got so many speakers. We've got 2 jam-packed days. We've got workshops. We've got panels. We've got keynotes. We've got a great mix of participants and providers and experts and consultants. And I've never done a 2-day event. I've never done a gala dinner. So lots of really exciting firsts for me in September. I might be a bit exhausted by the end of the month, but I'm looking forward to all of it nonetheless.
I am genuinely so excited for SIL Summit. I'm going to be there. I've got to see behind the curtain just a little bit. This is going to be absolutely amazing, and I'm looking forward to presenting in a couple of sessions and workshops. But the people you've got there, like, I am in awe of the speakers you've brought together. I'm super keen to be a part of the panel for the book and actually sit in the same room as these guys, which is so cool. So yeah, I think congratulations on these amazing things you've pulled together, Tania, from the book. SIL Summit is going to be absolutely amazing. I can thoroughly recommend, if you're listening right now, you couldn't get a seat for SIL Summit, get a hold of the virtual pass. Be there and be online, allocate the time to be there. Sit down, take in the information, because things are changing. You want to be at the front of this pathway. You want to have the most up-to-date information. Don't keep doing things the way you've always been doing them. I'm looking forward. It's going to be amazing, Tania.
And what about you, Paul? What are you doing in September other than coming to the SIL Summit?
Coming to SIL Summit. I'll be honest. We've got our new guys that we've onboarded in August. We're setting up business as usual for them, getting them sorted out. We are launching our provider hubs. As we mentioned before, we've got them. We've got 5 different events happening throughout September, and then they're going to be in the next quarter as well after that. So we've got just amazing events happening all around Australia at the same time. But to be honest, we have just got some really cool stuff coming out at the moment, and we're going to be playing with that throughout September, and I'll be able to talk a bit more into it at SIL Summit. But we're just creating what we call Provider OS, which is what is a operating system for a care provider business, whether it's NDIS, aged care, allied health. But look, the processes you can follow, the playbooks you can install, and have the real plan to follow to make sure you're going to have the best chance of getting ahead, building a business which is going to succeed and be profitable at the same time. I'm really looking forward to getting that out.
Wonderful. It sounds like so much going on.
There's a lot. There's a lot. Awesome. Well, that's our wrap up for August. It's been a big August. I'm glad you've had some rest, but now back to it, Tania. You got all your travel set up to go.
Yes, lots of happening in September. So yeah, I'm really excited for it and can't wait to see everything as it continues to roll out. So if anyone has any questions about anything we're working on or wants to chat to us, feel free to reach out. As always, we love getting messages from people listening to our podcast. If you're enjoying the podcast, please share it with a friend, subscribe, follow, all those wonderful things. And we will see you next Tuesday with another amazing episode.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Tania. And thank you for listening, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Profitable NDIS Provider Podcast with Tania Gomez and Paul Bryan. We hope you found today's episode informative and valuable. If you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to subscribe, leave us a rating, and share it with others who could benefit from our insights. Until next time, keep thriving.